Hey everyone, Gooey here. I just wanted to let you know that you can get episodes of this podcast early and ad-free while supporting us for as low as $1 over on our Patreon. That's patreon.com/flashback64. Enjoy the show.
Yeah, I know. I gotta believe.
Everyone, welcome back to another episode of Flashback 32. I'm Gooey, joined as always by McKenna. Hey McKenna.
Hello.
We're back here. We're talking about some more PlayStation. I feel like we've taken a weird route of talking about PlayStation games. Like people are like asking for your Final Fantasies, your Metal Gear Solids, and we've given them very popular games, but maybe not the ones you'd think to start with first. And I love the game we talk about today. So let's get our guests on. We've got some good. Well, we're almost getting outnumbered now a little bit with the PlayStation fans versus the Nintendo 64 fans. So returning to the show, we've got one of our great PlayStation buddies, Darren Hupke. What's up, Darren?
Hello. Good to be back, representing the PlayStation brand as the explicit representational person of the PlayStation brand. I don't know.
Official? No, not official.
Our PlayStation ambassador.
Yeah, our ambassador.
There it is.
Yeah, and our SoundStone.network partner. So this is some real SoundStone synergy going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming back. It's always great to have you. But we've also got a brand new guest with us today. You may know him from the internet and all over the place. We've got Fredo. Hey, Fredo. How you doing?
That's right, folks. It's me, the internet's favorite small account, or everyone's favorite small account, Fredo Fabrici. Delighted to be here, where I will, of course, argue with extreme fervor. Nintendo 64 losers with your Babby console for babbies that only has games for babbies. PlayStation for life, etc., etc. Crash Bandicoot ad with him yelling at a megaphone at your houses or whatever. So you better watch out.
The wars are back on.
That's right.
I like him.
Yeah. Well, so that's pretty much how this episode came about, because we were just talking about it before recording, but we started our PlayStation 1 coverage with Tomb Raider, because McKenna's a big fan of Tomb Raider, and we were like, perfect, that's a great place to start. And we made Darren, come along with us, but of course, you're not even the biggest fan of the Tomb Raider games themselves.
The reboots, I am. Like, that rebooted trilogy, the first two I played and loved to death. Like, those are fantastic games. I just was not, like, the big classic Tomb Raider fan at all. I appreciate what they did, though, for the genre and for gaming and everything. It just wasn't my jam.
I'm 100% with you on that take, by the way, Darren. The last trilogy of Tomb Raider games are definitely the best Tomb Raider games, if you ask me. I think they're awesome.
Well, that was, of course, how McKenna was a fan of it. This was sort of
I played the new trilogy first,
super
and then
good.
I was like, oh, I want to go check out the originals.
It must have been pretty surreal.
I think
I knew what I was going into.
I came away the biggest fan of the old Tomb Raider games, I think, than anyone involved. But so yeah, when you were on, you were like, "Can we talk about a PlayStation game I actually really like?" So yeah, I asked you, I was like, send me your favorites, and PaRappa was on there, and then Fredo, we linked up, and you were saying, I'm more of a PlayStation kid, so I was like, perfect, like we can make we can bring together some more people who don't know each other and talk about this game together. So yeah, I guess that's usually what we ask is like, what is your history with the Nintendo 64 or the PlayStation 1? And it sounds like, yeah, you were more on the PlayStation side of things.
Yeah. I mean, I love this era of games, and we did also have a Nintendo 64, but I remember in some of the earlier episodes, the two of you talking about your initial experience, and obviously the various guests that came on and discussed it. I found it a little bit more appealing at the time. I'm a little bit older, so the sort of Nintendo 64 and PlayStation, and sadly shortly lived Saturn. That generation was basically like my teenage years, so I really wanted a Nintendo 64 when I first saw Mario 64 like everybody else, but because I had a couple friends that had PlayStations and I saw the sort of selection on there and the more sort of mature-oriented games, shout out to Quest 64 guy. I know it's like a big rant of his that, there's not a lot of adult stuff on N64. There were more complicated, robust games, and there were some games I really liked, but yeah, I opted for the PlayStation. We got I have a brother that's 7 years younger than me, and he ended up getting a Nintendo 64, year and change later. So we had both of them between us, and spent a lot of time on both machines. But I definitely spent way more time on the PlayStation, I think, because there were more, RPGs and comparatively robust, both mechanically and in terms of like subsystems and complexity and what have you. A lot more of those types of games, and those are the types of games that at that age especially I was more into, which there's a certain irony to that, because the game we're going to be talking about is like not really one of those. I mean, it's very funny, charming, but it's like not the type of game that I typically liked. So I made a little joke about it at the beginning, but yeah, during that era, like a lot of other people, I of course saw the fanboy stuff online, and having a little more direct experience with the N64, I obviously saw the value in the system and had some amazing experiences with it, and not to relitigate, right, Mario, Zelda, Smash Brothers, all the really fun stuff on there. Ogre
Right.
Battle 64, the wrestling games, yada, yada, yada. Hybrid Heaven, maybe that's another episode I'll be on one day. But
I'll write you in there.
Yeah. But I was the stuff on the PlayStation, right? Your Final Fantasies, your Metal Gear Solid, your No One Can Stop Mr. Domino, a personal Fredo favorite, among many, a Vagrant Story, among many other things, was really like my jam. So I'm excited to be here. Excited to talk more about this stuff. Really love the games from that era. I find them particularly interesting in a lot of ways. It was, the beginning of a lot of genres, early 3D stuff, a lot of experimental stuff. This game we'll be talking about today is one of those interesting experimental games that was one of the, early examples of a genre it helped popularize. So very, very cool stuff.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. And of course, we always, we've been saying this a lot, but always good to have people who kind of grew up with like the perspective from the other side of the aisle. I always say this, but I was always always secretly jealous of the PlayStation kids when I was a kid, because like you said, we didn't have much like cool stuff to hold on to. I remember like Turok was like, oh man, this is actually badass, but we it really didn't stand up to like the serious adult factor of like Resident Evil or your Metal Gear Solids and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll have to get into more of that, because I think you said it, Fredo, like I don't think we've shown off a game yet for the PlayStation that like shows like how it was like a counter to the N64. Maybe Tomb Raider a little bit in its tone, but like I feel like there were other games from that era that really were like made a lot of people want to jump over. So I don't know. We definitely have that in the tank eventually too.
Hey everyone, my name's Darren Hupke. I'm a writer, publisher, and podcaster. My podcast is called Pixels and Polygons. Each week I sit down with a guest and ask one simple video game question. It's a random topic each week, and it leads to a fun conversation. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform every Friday, and you can read more about it at pixelsandpolygons.net.
All right, we're here just sitting in the car. I want you to show me if you can get far.
Before we get into the game, I don't have a full-blown flashback segment like we normally do because this game came out in the time period of our show. So I just kind of want to set it into the Flashback 64 timeline that we've discussed on our show. So the game, it came out November 17th, 1997 in North America, December 6, 96 in Japan, and September 26, 97 in Europe. And in North America, this game comes out on our timeline, McKenna, between San Francisco Rush and Aero Fighters Assault, which that's also where Tomb Raider 2 landed. So
San Francisco Rush was all right. I don't know about Aero Fighters Assault. Yeah, kind of slim pickings for the N64 in this little window, but
this window.
We said it. This window, yeah. Well, you can take a look at this period. And yeah, so we said this on the Tomb Raider 2 episode, but yeah, I think once again, another, maybe a better option out on the market. So maybe it is a good example of countering the Nintendo 64.
Well, there were, it's an interesting point because I do think, looking back, one of the areas where the PlayStation did seem more competitive is it didn't really have lulls to the same degree that the Nintendo 64 did. You know, there's a lot of periods, as you're talking about on the show, obviously, where there wasn't really like a banger game for like 3 months or whatever on the N64, and that didn't really happen so much on the PlayStation because there was just a comparatively much larger volume of games, so you didn't feel like you had these, your droughts between your big heavy hitters, at least not to the same degree, in my opinion.
Yeah, Darren, what do you think? Were you feasting?
Yes. It's definitely because of like the support. Like early on, Sony knew when developing the PlayStation that they did not have like internal studios to churn out games. So not only did they try and like ramp up production on their own internal games, but they also like invested into like Namco and third-party companies to like entice them to come over and develop games for them as well. So they had gotten lucky with a good wave of third-party support, new technology that was cheaper to release on, with the CDs compared to like the cartridge fees like they were paying for like Nintendo with and all that stuff. So there was just like a time and a place, and that I think allowed third parties to like want to like take a chance and release games on the PlayStation because it was maybe less of an investment than they would have to going the traditional route they were used to. And so, yeah, there's nearly 1,300 games in the US for the PlayStation, and there's 12 on the Nintendo 64.
Got him again.
So now of that though, if you divide the quality games, numerator denominator here, I would say that they probably have a very similar rate of like quality games and good games that are like memorable and like landmark style games comparatively, if I'm trying to be fair. I mean, if not, like maybe it does lean towards the PlayStation probably, but obviously there's some significant heavy hitters from the Nintendo 64 as well. It's just in between those heavy hitters, you weren't necessarily going to Blockbuster and like renting like a one-off thing to kind of fill that time. You're probably re-renting something to spend more time with that versus PlayStation side of things. You can just go and check out something new and maybe never play the same game twice if you were in that like rental family household dynamic.
That's right on to me. Yeah, I think that the PlayStation, I think the way I always thought of it is the Nintendo 64, when they had something that hit, oh boy did they hit. The A tier, the real bangers on N64 were awesome, but they had, I think, a lot less stuff that hit at that more mid, the AA level, the 7 to 8 out of 10, right? The good to great games that weren't necessarily like, genre defining forever hits. Like PlayStation had way more of those, in my mind than the N64.
Damn, guys, you're just cooking it.
Yeah.
I think McKenna, we've had some. We haven't had like any runs where it's like, oh, this is really dire. But I mean, if you laid it out on a real life timeline, yes. But we have had like stretches of games where it's like, that was a game.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Your
Aero Fighters Assault.
Yeah.
That was on the lower end.
That's one of the worst games we've played. I hate to say. I didn't put anything else from the time because I figured people can go back and listen to our episodes to figure out what was going on in the world, and also everyone knows what song
Candle
was
in the Wind,
number
baby.
1. Yeah, see, I didn't have to say anything. So,
we didn't bring it up.
Yep. Well, unless Fredo, you want to talk about your reaction to...
I will not. I have nothing to say, but Fredo, I mean, this is your chance to get in the Candle in the Wind canon.
Candle in the Wind, Princess Di, any thoughts you wanted to get out there before we move on?
I'll share an anecdote. I was at an amusement park when that happened and came home to the news that Princess Diana had died. And my brother, who did not go to the amusement park, a friend invited me because his dad was going for like work or something, like some work event. And I was able to pivot at the last second when I was excitedly talking about like going to. Did you hear what we did today? And then I last minute was like, oh yeah, Princess Diana died. So that's the part that lives forever in infamy for me about that. Don't like the song. Don't like everything about all of that. So you can all listen to 75 other episodes, however long that song was number 1. No, thank you. I say to that.
Look, I got to bring it up because it could always be, it could be a gold mine that I could be at the other side of that wall in the mines, and I don't want to step away.
With all the diamonds, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Princess Di.
I gotta
more like Princess Di.
Oh yes, I was a big fan of that at the time. Yes, absolutely. Or Diana from Carmageddon, which was a contemporary game. I always found that very funny too. That there was a character, Diana.
Yeah, there's a Carmageddon 64, I believe. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know if she made the cut for Carmageddon 64 because I played that on the PC. So, like any truly discerning gentleman of taste.
That's in poor taste, I think. We want the real tributes, like the Beanie Babies.
Well, I think it was the other. I don't think they did it because of her. I think it was totally incidental. Like they named they wanted to have like a funny death based pun name because they had I think Max Damage was the guy and Diana was the girl, and then the game came out right around the time. Yeah, well, sure was something, folks.
Yeah, Diana is in the Nintendo 64 Carmageddon,
there you
along with Otis P. Jive Funk, Max
Wait,
Damage.
what?
Otis P. Jive Funk.
I think Otis P. Jive Funk is a Nintendo 64 edition to that game, perhaps.
But there you go.
We need to
got
spice this up a little bit. All right, great. Thank you.
Pretty good game as well, okay. Carmageddon, by the way, folks.
I can't wait to find out. Well, at least how the N64 version is. It's probably really foggy, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, so. I have no idea. Certainly we'll be curious to find out.
So these guys are on here, McKenna. So we have to like take some shots at the N64 so they think we're cool.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you want to sit at the PlayStation table in the cafeteria with us. So.
Hello, we are Kirby Conversations, a podcast on Kirby, along with other adjacent subjects like Smash Brothers, HAL Laboratory, and other related Nintendo games.
In each episode, we take an in-depth, well-researched look at a Kirby topic, drawing on our decades of experience playing Kirby games, creating Kirby-related content, and working in and around the video game industry. I'm Sean Douglas. I'm a theater and video game journalist.
And my name's Bridget. I'm an online Kirby commentator and collector.
Our team also includes photographer and Nintendo ambassador Kai Captain Dangerous Parker and Gigi, the editor-in-chief of Wick Kirby. Join us for deep dives into Kirby's history, interviews with industry professionals, and even inside looks at Nintendo, as together we explore all things Kirby and HAL Laboratory. You can find Kirby Conversations on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Every single day stress comes in every way, and got no time for nobody.
PaRappa the Rapper is a rhythm video game in which the title character must rap his way through 6 stages, each with a different feature. The teacher will rap a line, and the player must repeat the line by pressing buttons at the correct timing. Staying on beat will allow PaRappa to maintain a good ranking, while incorrect timing will cause his ranking to drop to bad or awful. He must have a good ranking by the end of the song to clear the stage. Throughout the stages, PaRappa will get his driver's license, bake a cake, perform a concert, and more, all in the hopes of winning over his crush, Sunny Funny, and defeating his romantic rival, Joe Chin.
Nice. So yeah, Darren, you said you love this game. You showed us your shirt and your collectibles. What's your personal history with this game?
Oh, I have a tattoo as well.
Tattoo.
Oh, amazing.
What is it?
PaRappa hidden right there above a hunter and below Spider-Man. That's a hunter, right? Yes, that's a hunter. I know my Pokemon. What's my history? My history with this game is significant. Like this is my first experience with the PlayStation was PaRappa the Rapper. So I bought my PlayStation after I sold my Nintendo 64 and had no console and just saved money up to then go buy the PlayStation. But I was hungry for games, couldn't afford a game day one with it, but it had a pack-in demo disc with it. And on that demo was the Chop Chop Master Onion level as a demo. And that was my first game I booted up and played on that demo disc to see what this PlayStation was all about. And it blew my mind. I was so used to games like run to the right, jump over some obstacles and platforms, shoot aliens, rinse and repeat. That's what a video game was essentially to me. Of course, there's some variety and rhythm to that, but this was totally unlike anything I ever played. A Simon Says on acid with this call and response rhythm stuff. Never had I ever played anything like that before, and just with that demo disc, I feel like playing that single level, it justified my decision to get this PlayStation, because that was the type of game I wanted to play. I wanted to not just know what was coming, but be surprised by what was coming and enjoy the unexpected and unorthodox type of games out there and everything. Of course, I would be the kid who grew up to listen to punk music and get into comic books and try and find all the off the beaten path type of things, but this to me was the most off the beaten path type of video game I had ever experienced up to that point, and is 100% a cornerstone in defining who I am as a video game fan, and whatever, it is in my DNA.
That's awesome. Yeah, I could see too how it could lead you to want to be someone who digs deeper into the history of games and pop culture, just because there's so much there's a musician and an artist behind this, so there's a lot. It's kind of when you get into bands and stuff and you find out about the other bands they're into, and it's this whole rabbit hole that you can go down. I've already started to do that a little bit with some of the music and the art of the people behind this, so that's cool. That's awesome to hear. How about you, Fredo? What was your backstory with this game?
Well, it's the interesting thing that jumped out at me. So, Darren, you hit on something that I wanted to mention today anyway, which was the demo discs, because I similarly was first. I mean, I'd read about the game in magazines or whatever, but I was first exposed to the game itself via. I can't recall if it was a disc that came with the PlayStation or one of the discs that came with, the big jam pad. I think the Underground magazine was a little bit later. But just as a general point, the PlayStation, I think one part of their strategy, and not to be a Nintendo 64 hater here, but one part of their strategy that I think helped a lot was that they leaned really heavily into these demos in a way that I hadn't really seen other consoles do. So PaRappa was one. I'm trying. The disc that came with the console when I got it, I believe, also had a demo for Warhawk on there, which was another one that I really liked, and a few other games. But I similarly remember playing that, and the gameplay was different than anything I had seen before. The visual style of it, where the characters have that kind of paper-like. I mean, I guess Paper Mario would be a sort of not quite the same aesthetic. Love Paper Mario, by the way. The +1 for Nintendo 64 there for sure. But the weird sort of psychedelic style of characters that are like 2D and then they bend and it's like a piece of paper bending, like just such a wild visual style, totally different gameplay mechanics, goofy. I know a lot of people at the time were making jokes that I didn't, I couldn't relate to personally because I was too young, about like, oh, it's like it's like being on drugs. It's like somebody smoked a marijuana cigarettes in the world of PaRappa the Rapper, but it was fascinating. And like with Darren, I remember it was one of those games that in that era, I really was thinking like, wow, video games are like really evolving. They're doing like really different things, and you were watching. Those demo discs were such a good way of doing that because they had all these games of all these different genres, and many of them were the first time you were seeing, especially if you weren't like a big PC gamer, the first time you were seeing whatever third-person, fully polygonal, action game or fight sim or whatever, and PaRappa being, to my mind, as far as I can recall, one of the more interesting and creative games in that relatively early PlayStation lineup that I think just lit up a lot of people's imagination.
Yeah, the demo discs were such a cool thing. I remember whether it was going to my friends or my cousins, like that always like fascinated me. I feel like I remember like Tony Hawk, the first level of Tony Hawk being on one that was like
there's a Pizza Hut demo disc of that, and that was like
Pizza Hut
life-changing demo disc as well. Yes, there's a
For
Pizza
sure.
Hut in one.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So I remember a lot of that. This game itself, I feel like I've always been familiar with and like aware of, and like I don't recall if this was actually on any of the demo discs like my cousin had or anything, but I think it's just one that I've become very aware of just through osmosis, and particular that first song, because I'm guessing like a lot of people probably know that even more so the rest of the game,
For sure.
Because of that demo disc. But yeah, like I'll always like kick punch, like people going crazy on that. That always stuck with me, and I of course always appreciated the art style and everything. McKenna, were you familiar at all with PaRappa the Rapper when I was like, hey, we should do a PaRappa the Rapper episode?
I was not. You said that, and I was like, what's that?
Okay.
What did you think it was going to be? Like, yeah, what type of game could you imagine this to be? Like, knowing nothing about it, what did you anticipate it potentially being?
Okay, initially I guessed like Guitar Hero, but with rapping, which is
pretty much right. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think when we fired it up?
I really enjoyed the style and its goofiness.
Mm-hmm.
I imagined it would be a little on the goofy side.
Yeah, just the name alone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were. It was just like really funny. Like even if you were the person like spectate, like we were taking turns and like spectating. There was a couple times where it's just like even when you're like messing up, just like the sound of PaRappa's voice and like being offbeat or like saying a bunch of the words in like a weird combo. Or I think there was just one, I think the level started and you weren't ready for it and you were hitting stuff.
Oh yeah, I was like, what's happening? When do I start?
I was like laughing so hard, like I could not breathe for a moment because it was spectacular.
I figured it out before the end. I didn't fail.
Yeah, it was a little tricky, I will say. Some of the levels, Darren, you were there, you were watching it. Our first time ever playing it, and we hit a wall at some point that I was
it's
like,
the wall
okay,
that everybody hits though. So that was not just you. That is literally the wall everybody hits on stage 4. Like suddenly that is like the funky, like offbeat, like different song for sure. Like that's a game killer for a lot of folks, but you got to just breathe, mash buttons, take a minute to refresh and come back, whatever it may be. But, eventually you'll work it out. If it's meant to be, you'll work it out.
Yeah. How do you, so just in terms of is this like, I can't think of another case of like an earlier case, I guess, of like a rhythm game. Like, is there any example that you might know that you can think of that comes before this? Like, I read that this kind of invented like what is known as a rhythm game, but I was like, there's always something that came before.
Yeah, I mean, from a music game standpoint, this is the first one that I know of like this. I mean, like I mentioned before, it's like a Simon Says like type of thing, like playing that little like handheld like Tiger, electronic toy or whoever made that. That's kind of what it reminded me of, like memorizing and pressing it, and everything. And when I played those games, I like, I'm pretty good at those actually, those types of things. But when I'm like hearing or when I'm like watching and trying to remember the pattern in my head, I'm almost like saying the color or the location or whatever, like in like a song format, or like remembering it like blue, red, green, blue, red, green, green, blue, red, green, yellow. And then so like, that's like what's playing that. So playing this in a video game form, like that's what instantly came to mind to me, was like cool, I have to press these buttons at this time. And like, you hear the teacher's lyrics. And so, their major syllables or like for the word itself was like 8 maps to a button, button press. So I'm just trying to repeat that same rhythm back in a button press, But yeah, obviously, like, this did help spawn, a whole genre, music games. Like Sony, like reading into the development of it and all that stuff, Sony almost didn't know how to market it, and didn't really want to market it as a video game early on, because they were, like how much gameplay really is there to this? Like, should this be, something else instead? But, it did inspire games like Dance Dance Revolution and Guitar Hero and things like that to exist to begin with. So, yeah, this is the first and earliest example of a music game that I know of from being a fan of like the genre myself.
With a lot of games, this is a million video game podcasts have, of course, had these conversations about video games are fundamentally iterative, and everything, borrows a little bit from the stuff that came before, and usually you could point at anything and be like, oh, well, this probably had its roots in Game X and Game Y, and somebody's probably yelling at their phone of like, well, there was a rhythm mini game in this obscure Japan only, Saturn game that came out in 1994 or whatever. But I think for most people, this was like their first exposure to anything like this. I mean, it was for me, and pretty much everybody I knew.
Yeah, for me it was more. I mean, I definitely, like, when Guitar Hero came out, I already knew like PaRappa the Rapper, so it wasn't like for me that was it. But that was like the first one that I really. And I mean, I didn't get like that into it, but that was the first time that I personally had contact really with the rhythm game. But of course, the reputation of PaRappa was already there. I mean, and it does. I can see how it could stand out as so unique of a creation, even despite if there's rhythm elements in other games or whatever. Because it came from, someone who is not only involved in video games, but also was like in a band and like I would say a successful band. Like they released like 11 albums. Darren, can you tell us much about the creator and the like? Is it Nana Onsha is the developer of the game?
Nana Onsha is the developer, yeah. Masaya Matsura is the guy behind it all. He's the one who was in like his own band and everything. From what I have done, like reading on him and everything, like he was not into like being like a public face and like wanting to be in music videos and things like that. So that's what actually got him exposure to like want to like find other interactive mediums to like use his musical talents and like explore music creation, but in like other technologies, so that he wouldn't have to be like this, just a band producing music videos and touring and playing like that. And so that's kind of like where from what I've read, helped kind of like spawn that on. He, the band was signed to some like Sony subsidiary and all that stuff. So he was already essentially like in the fold and in the family. And so when the PlayStation started to be developed, like internally, there was this discussion of it. And he had done like a PC, like CD-ROM based like game already. So, like not a game, but it was like an application, with music involved, like on CD-ROM and everything. So like there was already this like, cool, well, we're doing this PlayStation thing internally, and he got wind of it and said like, hey, I want to be involved and I want to do something with it. So again, like we talked about earlier, Sony did not have a lot of internal studios, so they were essentially greenlighting everything. They needed content and they needed games. So they were working on this game before the PlayStation even launched. This was just an internal project that they were like, yep, this is going to be something, funny and different. We need a variety of things. So like, we're on board with this. And then Rodney Greenblatt, the artist, got on board afterwards, and essentially like they just started riffing off each other, going back and forth. Like there were some designs already like temporarily being used, but once he turned in artwork that inspired like the writing and the direction of the game to kind of change, because like his weird characters just inspired like just different events that they went through in the game. Like it's just completely wacky and over the top. So like that makes a lot of sense. Like you can do anything with a rapping dog and an onion in a karate dojo who's trying to build the confidence of this person to convince a sunflower to fall in love with him and everything. Like you can do anything. But yeah, that's what I know of the history of it. There's like a lot more. There's a book. Again, I have to promote other people's things, but Boss Fight Books. I have it in my little camera here. But Boss Fight Books is a cool gaming book publisher, and Mike Scholars wrote a book on PaRappa the Rapper that's like essentially about the history of the development of it and everything. It's a really cool story that mixes in his own personal perspective and worldview, and just like seeing how like the representation that he saw within the game like mattered like a lot to him, and like the foundations of the game. But he also interviewed the developers a lot there too, so a lot of what I've learned about it kind of came from that book. So if you want to learn a lot more than I can reiterate off the top of my head, go buy that Boss Fight book.
Yeah, tell us the whole book, fantastic. Please.
Yeah,
the Boss Fight books are awesome. I mean, people can, if they want to learn from you specifically, I guess they could jump to your to the sequel, because you have a retro game zine.
Yes, Jammer Lammy issue. Yeah, that's the sequel to this game. Was not sequel. It was a spin-off or continuation, just done in a different genre. But I'm doing an issue of Retro Game Zine on Jammer Lammy, and of course, because I wanted the circle to close and everything, I reached out to Mike, the writer of the PaRappa the Rapper book, to see if he'd be interested in sending me an article for that issue. I asked him for 1,200 words. He sent me 5,500 words. And we just kind of punched that up, and it's basically like a bonus chapter to this boss fight book. Like I reformatted it to not read like a magazine, but instead the pages are laid out just like they are in the book, with like the footnotes and everything that they do within those books. So like I just went some extra production level stuff involved there to like help make it look just like it'd be an extension to that book. So I don't get any money for doing that. I just did it as a fan of not only the games and of his book, but just to be able to kind of continue that on there. So if you want to read more, you can read the zine when it comes out. That's the October issue, so it won't be out for another month and a half or so. But the book itself, PaRappa the Rapper from Boss Fight Books, it's like you can get it for $15 or cheaper. Super good read and super informative on the history of the game.
I'm gonna have to get that. Yeah, that rocks. So you mentioned like they didn't know how to market it. Because how much gameplay is there, and it is like a relatively short game, I guess you could say. I don't know, McKenna, that wasn't really a downside though when we played it.
No, I like playing short games. I like a variety of lengths in my gaming experiences.
It was like we were playing like an EP, you know what I mean? Like in game form, experiencing the music. And
you could go replay it and freestyle.
We never got to, we were never able to get to the freestyle sections, which were absolutely crazy. Like we weren't very good at it. Fredo, what's your strategy when you're going in gameplay wise? Would you say, are you a master at this game?
Oh boy, master is I don't want to give myself too much credit. But I didn't have too hard of a time with it. And I don't know where that stems from. I'm not a very musically inclined person or anything. It's maybe I was just used to playing like complicated stuff, or I was really gung ho about like learning the controller and stuff. But I remember the first time I played it. Further to that point about it being like a shorter game, I think I did it all in one sitting. Finished all the tracks, and there's if you play through it well, there's really only 30 minutes of content or whatever, but every second of it is incredibly charming, and the characters and the vibes and the songs, and so many lines that are forever memorable, and so many songs that I still listen to even to this day. So I don't know that there's really much in terms of strategy. I wonder if it's even a little more difficult now because of the the delay on the modern TVs. But I didn't have too difficult of a time. I remember at one point I'd figured out, because I revisited the game for this, and I remember when I was playing it the first time, I'd figured out, like, if you do extra, like, at the half beats, right, the way you get to, like, rap and cool is that you do extra stuff, like, in between the half beats. And if you do that, you can, like, always, the game gets very easy once you, like, get that trick of kind of go at double speed and do stuff in between. And that's really, I think, in terms of advanced PaRappa strategy, if such a thing exists, that's it. But that's that's not why we're here. So yeah.
Yeah, you need to hit that first beat, like the first letter or the first whatever hit has to be like on with the teachers, but then from there you have the ability to kind of freestyle from there for more points if it's on, like, the right beat. They encourage you to kind of do that. You can even hold oh my gosh, I forget which button it is. But if you hold a button, it will repeat. Sometimes there's levels where you'll press X 3 times and then something. If you hold the button down, it will repeat whatever was the last X button you pressed to, like, repeat that same syllable again and again, and then continue on once you let it go. So there is a way you can kind of get a little, like, creative if you want, but you can kind of go ham. And if you're tapping to a rhythm, you'll likely get a positive set of points rather than negative, and that's what will let you go into cool. But also, you can't go into cool on your first time playing through the stage. You have to go back and replay the stage for it to let you get into cool. So you didn't get in there not because you weren't necessarily good enough to do it, but on your first time playing the levels, it's just good is the highest you can cap out at.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. Thank you. Yeah, because I was I don't know. I feel like I'm not, like, the greatest musician of all time, but there were times where I was like, you were even giving me some pointers, and I was like, I couldn't tell. We were questioning for a minute. I don't think there was, but we were like, is there a delay?
On the PlayStation 1, there isn't. Like, on the CRT on the PlayStation 1, there isn't. It's odd, but, like, there's not a delay. They did do a PS4 remastered one, and that unfortunately is, I don't want to say unplayable because I technically still played through it, but you're not going to be able to, like. You're playing the PS4 one?
Yeah.
Oh, then yes, you were experiencing significant delay, and that was the crippling effects of, like, why that game wasn't like a perfect representation of the original game. Oh, okay, that's good to know then. So that you had an extra layer of difficulty in front of you because of that. So you have to, like, try and half beat press before it, to try and offset that, and that doesn't work when you're listening to the music. So that was a flaw of that re-release, that remastered version of it.
So they did a bad job on the re-release.
Yepers.
Oh, okay. Because there were times where it was like, well, it feels okay, but I always felt like, like, this doesn't feel like, it feels like he says it, like, a little bit late. So that all makes sense.
Yeah, I felt like I was going on beat, but it actually came off wrong. It was like, this sounds all right. Wrong. And I'm like, we're both musicians.
Yes, but I think it speaks to the quality of the vibes of the game, that it almost, like I said, in the ones we were doing bad, it was still kind of funny. So but okay, that makes a lot of sense. The egg level that we got stuck on, the cake, that, like, I found most success by just, like, hammering the fuck out of the buttons that were like coming next, and it was like I was killing it, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's all I had to do.
You figured out the pro strategy. Yeah, just spam. You hit the button a whole bunch.
Okay, and that's the pro strats. Okay,
you just put the cake in the oven for a while. That's all you gotta do.
Put the cake in. The music is great. Like, we were driving around listening to it on Sunday, and it's usually when you're listening to a rap song, it's not all call and response, but even then it was pretty banging.
It's a bluesy
It's bluesy, yeah.
Oh, the songs
Bluesy
are
call and response.
so great. I mean, and that's going to be a lot of, I think, to today's conversation, and I think most of the folks that have a lot of affection for this game, it's really the vibes. The songs are so fun and so great, and the characters are fun and creative and expressive, and oh man, it just so much charm all throughout. And I do like that there's a good bit of variance, like the songs. I mean, I'm not a musician. I don't know very much about like rap music or really any kind of music, but I do appreciate that it felt like they were going for something like a different kind of vibe with a bunch of this, like the Prince Flea Swallows rap having like that slower sort of I don't know if it's reggae influenced kind of vibe to it. I mean, they really were creative with that element of it as well, and I really enjoyed that.
The characters had like sort of a different flow and everything too. They had their own like personality and like the way they rapped and stuff like that. So that was pretty effective. I guess too, the world, like you mentioned, the character, like the world, the sort of the story is so fun. It's somewhat, it like is somewhat nonsensical, but in a way that makes sense. Like it's just the idea of, it's just what the dog, PaRappa, he's a dog and he's trying to win over a flower.
Yeah, that is an important story for me. Like, yeah, like 100% as a kid who lacked confidence and was like obsessed with like the coming of age novel, like, like Catcher in the Rye is one of my favorite books, or was one of my favorite books as, a youth. I don't know if it still holds up today if I reread it or anything, but like The Wonder Years was always a TV show I loved, and like, Boy Meets World, like later, like just that idea of just being like that kid trying to find out who they are, what their identity is, like who you're going to be, and then but then also like your first crush and like how you interact and how you want to impress somebody and how you want to be somebody more than just like anybody else, and like just building confidence, and like this whole like story of finding and believing in yourself and everything. And as silly as the package as it is just as an impactful like coming of age story to me as some of those other things I just named, because it's in this like really cool artistic video game musical package. But like, like when I would be lacking in confidence or like second guessing myself or trying to do something like really like nervous and everything, you better believe that I think of like, I gotta believe.
I gotta believe. Yeah.
Like just try it. Like what's the worst that can happen? Like have some like confidence in yourself, be your own hype man and everything. And like, if PaRappa can overcome all he did and, outshine Joe Chin and win the affection of Sunny Funny and ultimately, become who he needed to become to finish the game, like then I could do that. And like it's a silly 100% super charming, like super like simple and artistic and design and fun, like visual like design of it all, but like at its core just like building confidence in you as an individual is like such an important message to give to people. And like I love that about the game.
Yeah, it's simple but sweet, I think.
Yeah, he makes some mistakes, but he owns up to him. He makes it right.
He does, yeah. Well, that's what's funny about the story. It starts off and it's like kind of obvious things you would think of, like what he needs to do to take seriously. He wants to learn to stand up to bullies, so he goes and learns martial arts from the Onion guy from the demo disc that everyone knows. And then, he wants to get a car, so he's got to take driving lessons. But then it's like, then it immediately, what happens? His dad, he crashes his dad's car, right? And then his dad is like, has this, that was real watching it now. Like, well, I didn't watch it as a kid, but now seeing it as an adult and watching like this guy melt down over like having to like get a new car, like I was like, this is relatable from a totally different angle. But then then he's got to get a job and you're like, okay, that's like an adolescent thing. But then he's got to make a seafood cake.
Yeah, we had to go get a cake, but then it got messed up. So he has to learn how to make a cake.
And so McKenna, you're a known seafood lover. You're from Maryland.
Yeah.
You have a backlog of cakes
Uh-oh.
that you want to make.
Oh, this is some
What's your
fascinating
address?
canon here. Yeah.
Tell us your address. Let's go get some of this cake.
That post has hit. That post has hit the Discover feed because I keep getting like random people like who follow like thousands of people being like, "Oh my god, she should make this cake."
Oh god.
Yeah. Is seafood cake on your backlog? Have you had
I saw that and I was like a cake that's decorated like seafood or like a crab cake.
Crab
They don't
cake's
really
good.
talk about
Crab cakes are great.
crab cakes. Yeah. They don't
I
get
feel like
into
you see
It
a
looks
fish
like a
skeleton
sweet
inside
cake.
it.
Yeah,
Ugh.
Is
not
this
sure
one of,
about that one.
is this one of those like disgusting 1960s recipe where it's like jellied hot dogs with mayonnaise like fondant or whatever disgusting?
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
That
Sign me
chicken
up.
seems like something that chicken would make. They seem like they were going through a crisis. The chicken, like they start the song and they're like start talking about stress or something, and I'm like, "Call, are you okay,
Yeah, she's
chicken?"
like bipolar of some kind. Like when you start messing up, she like turns red and she starts flipping out and everything on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going through it.
Scary.
It's very scary. So yeah, okay, that's okay. So maybe it's not so too wide of a detour. And maybe the next song's not, because I think we maybe can relate to when you're in a situation
Love
where you
this
got to
one.
keep it. You got to keep it real, but you have to take a shit really fast.
Yeah, the best. Forever relatable. I think that this is the fifth one, right? The all masters where you have to use the bathroom
Yes.
and battle rap everyone to like get it. Like, this is the moment that I was like, oh, this is like an all timer Fredo coded game, like incredible.
Yeah, it blew my mind when that started. I was like, what? And then when we looked up, we saw someone get the cool. When you go like cool and you can freestyle on that, it becomes like this fever dream where he's like chasing the toilet down like
Like rainbow background.
incredible.
I love that level.
But yeah, that I loved that aspect of it where so the whole time he's like I gotta go, and she's like, PaRappa seems so manly right now. and then he finally goes and she's like, oh, he's not that cool anymore. So there's something about him having
Needing to shit.
She must like, because he was getting kind of serious, maybe she's into the bad boys clearly.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, not necessarily.
Well,
Joe Chin is like,
is
did she even like Joe Chin?
No,
she
but
was
I think
excited when he showed up.
he's popular and all that stuff, and so it's just I think PaRappa is self-conscious that this guy who's got all the confidence in the world must be what everybody else loves, and so maybe she did, but like in the same sense that everybody, like, oh hey look, it's the popular guy, we're all gravitating towards him. PaRappa was like, fuck that.
It's a towering cake that represents different aspects of their relationship.
That's pretty good. I think when you do that, when you do the bathroom level, you're like, okay, I've rapped against everyone. I've each level, like, what's next? And then you go up on stage and rap with like a spider dude. that was like the perfect ending for it, I think. And that song, actually, that's one question I have is, I guess, what is everyone's favorite song from the game? McKenna, do you have a favorite?
I kind of like the cake baking song.
Even though
I hate it, but
the actual,
that's
yeah.
what I've been singing the most.
We're gonna have to get the original to play it, because I think some of the dislike, because now we were watching someone play it and it was like stressing us out.
I'm gonna get to my cake backlog and start singing it when I'm baking my cakes.
We already were today, like crack the egg.
Yeah, to the bowl.
I'm a chicken, got it? You beef jerky?
I'm the chicken from the kitchen.
That's fire. Darren, do you have a favorite song?
As a kid, it was always the Prince Flea Swallow rap. I had in the rain or in the snow. I like level 2, the instructor Mussolini, because the call and response to it, like the step on the gas, like it's like immediately, like you're thrown off, like you don't get the full measure to repeat. You get like a half measure. So like I like that it's a little bit like catches you on your toes and everything. And when I say boom boom boom, you say bam bam bam. No pause in between. Come on, let's jam. I want to learn how to drive from that person. So and then obviously the full tank. When you go against all the teachers, like seeing everybody like grimace in an uncomfortable like fashion, like standing in line to go to the bathroom, like it's just like dumb. You get a little sampling of everybody, so that's probably my favorite. I guess I would say, just because you get a little sampling, it's the cheat choice, but for its humor and for this fact that you get a little bit of everything, like that's my favorite one.
Yeah, I love when he's like at the park and he's seeing the birds and he's imagining them as toilets. Fredo, how about you? Favorite track?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I would say like my favorite just song is Prince Flea Swallow, but my favorite sequence in the game is the All Masters rap, trying to get to the toilet. Although I do think I agree with you that the climax at the end, like the last I Gotta Believe song on the stage is a wonderful like ending to the game. I mean, there's no you can't go wrong with PaRappa the Rapper. Yeah, that's probably my personal fave.
Yeah, it's a no skip album
for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I also like there's a lot of great. The whole package is great, like the interstitial kind of like scenes and music. I like actually one of my favorite songs is when he's like towards the end when he's like kind of daydreaming this like love, or is it a daydream? He's like this love song for that he's imagining like going around, and it's got kind of the drum beat that's on like the title screen of the game.
Yes.
But then it's got set over this like pop song, and he's kind of singing, and he's kind of like slightly off key, but it's like cute and endearing. And I think that's actually a standout track for me, even though it doesn't have any rapping.
Yeah, I like that one too. That one's on the soundtrack, because sometimes I think, like many people, I will like just listen to the PaRappa the Rapper soundtrack on YouTube or whatever, and I know the one you're talking about, and it's lovely. It's an adorable little song.
He's a sweet little guy, yeah.
He is.
PaRappa.
I can't get enough of him.
I definitely want more. I want more PaRappa in my life. Like I watched a little bit of like the anime. Like I watched one of the episodes, and I was like, this is it's got like the charm of the game and everything. I don't know if it's like considered good or not, but I was like, I could see myself getting into this. And of course, I know there's the other games. Maybe we'll have to do more of them down the line. I know they don't come out for a while, but
that's just another thing I do find interesting. Not to say that those other games weren't also great, but it does feel like it was a little bit of a lightning in a bottle thing, because Jammer Lammy and the second PaRappa game that was on like PS2, not as memorable, right? It's not like this game where you remember every song and you remember every character, and it's that. And I don't know if it's just when it hit in my life or whatever, but the other ones I just didn't. I don't know, didn't have that same impact for me. I don't know if that's just me, but yeah.
Yeah, Jammer Lammy is like, I don't want to say it's like neck and neck with PaRappa. I mean, it feels like it's sacrilegious to say that, but I mean, part of me does like it a little bit more than PaRappa because of like the genre shift. Like I do enjoy like the call and response. You are playing back guitar riffs back to the teacher's lyrics and everything. I find the soundtrack to that game just as like catchy and endearing as this original one. But again, it feels like, gross to kind of maybe say that. Like maybe I shouldn't feel that way. 2, I think was like, like maybe their heart wasn't quite in it, but it's still kind of like wacky fun. And if you do want more, I love that it's there. But like, yeah, it definitely is just like trying to be the same, trying to be relevant, but also like maybe not as quite as like inspired. But I think for at least a PlayStation duology of PaRappa and Jammer Lammy, like those are both like you can take them to the bank and have a great time with them. For you Nintendo heads out there, on the Nintendo Wii, you could go pick up that Major Minor's Majestic March, which was a Nana Onsha developed game. that was designed by Masaya Matsuda, and the artist was Rodney Greenblatt. They reunited and had a game that had developmental issues and was not as fondly remembered by the staff who was involved making it, but ended up being released as you were like a marching band leader and you used the Wii remote to like direct a band and bring out animals to help play. I've actually never played it, but that's the only other time that the team of Rodney Greenblatt and Matsuda like teamed up to make a game. But it's on the Wii if you wanted to explore that.
And I remember that game and had no idea that it was that group. Yeah, I mean, it seems obvious in retrospect, but yeah.
Was that Wii game? It was like a full release, or was that like a WiiWare situation?
Oh, no.
Like, could I get
full-on
this
game
now?
You can go buy it. Yeah, you can go buy it. Secondhand somewhere. Majesco was the publisher.
For $4,000 probably.
Is it?
No, I don't think it's like crazy expensive or anything.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is because I would have loved to play. I have a PS2, and I would have loved to prep for this by playing the original. Could you mail me that, Darren, so I could play it the proper way? Because I do like I'm not like the biggest rhythm game fan, but I love music, and like if I can get in the vibe and I like the music a lot, like even if this game doesn't seem like it's very hard, so like just like the act of like kind of just like getting in the zone and playing along to these great tunes, like I would love to have like that actual proper experience on my PlayStation, on my like CRT. So but a physical copy of this game is like so expensive now. I forgot how much it was, but it was definitely beyond I have like sort of a limit of what I'll spend on a
it's probably between like
game.
$100 to $200 or so. The unfortunate part is I still have to get it complete. The front cover is just an insert of the image, but the actual instructions were like a fold out, almost like a map, and like that was the actual instructions for the game. This really cool like way. Of course, even the case was cool, but I don't have that for the US copy of mine, so I still have to get that. But yeah, it's you could probably spend $200 for it. Or more to try and get that complete one. I do have wait, let me see.
You got an extra copy?
I have the Japanese versions. I'm gonna go grab them off my shelf real quick.
Yeah, if you could send, if you had an extra copy you could send, that would be great. Hopefully this Wii game's not expensive, because
I actually looked it up. It's surprisingly very cheap. Their copies are going for like $10 or less on eBay. So obviously does not have the following that PaRappa does.
Well, we've been streaming some Wii, and we cover some Wii games in the winter. So maybe that could be added to our list. I think we've got an open spot. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll think about it. Mm-hmm. You got the Japanese version, Darren?
Yeah, the Japanese one has like this really large fold out, like similar to what the US one have, but it's this large map of like the town and everything.
Awesome. That's
and
so
it's like
cool.
really cool art. And on the backside, it's again like all the instructions on like how to like play the game and get through it and everything. But it's just really cool. It's got all this cool original art. Like, they're all like sitting around a PlayStation, all like hand drawn and everything. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's super, super cool. Again, it's just one of those things. I think it's because of it just being an early PlayStation release. Like they were like, yeah, we want to do something really weird and different with this, and they just gave them the green light to go ahead and go ham on it. And the disc art too, like just like this full color, round, disc art. Japanese always get things that are really cool.
Oh, it's like particularly colorful. The Japanese version is what you're saying, or artistic, I should say.
Yeah, the US one is chop chop master onion
vanilla.
Like, it's fine.
Oh, that's
but,
that's kind of sick, actually.
Yeah,
like that kind of looks like it would be a CD for like a band I would listen to in the late 90s. You made me think, actually, when you showed that image of the crew. Like, I also love the bear dude. We didn't mention the bear, but I like that he's just kind of hanging out and he's DJing at the end. I forgot his name, but
PJ Barry,
sick character. PJ Barry. Oh, you've got the
little vinyl figure.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's eating a donut here. He in the sequel, he is a murderer.
What?
Not the sequel. In Jammer Lammy, the spinoff. in the original Japanese version of Jammer, which I've got here as well, which has this really cool case design that's got like a die cut window to the disc. So it's kind of, you can't see because of the glare, but it's a really cool thing. But in one of the stages there, on the Japanese version, he's walking down the street. You see PJ Bear in the background. He eating a banana. He just throws his banana peel, but that causes Lammy to slip and fall and die, and her spirit comes out of her body and she goes to hell. And one of the stages is she's battling her teacher in hell there to get resurrected and come back. There's even like fake credits, like the game ends when you see her die and everything. Like it's really cool. But the US version, they were like, no, you can't do that. So they like pissed off the developers and made them like rewrite and reanimate and redo like the introduction to that stage. So instead of going to hell, she's slingshotted through like the city and thrown to an island, and then she ends up having to fax herself back through a fax machine to come back. It's just doesn't make any sense. But it already didn't make sense, but it just doesn't make even more sense for the US release.
It's like, yeah, they came up with a really clever way to get around that. Completely nonsensical.
She's not dead. She's just slingshots to an island. But yeah, PJ Barry, murderer, discarding his waist and causing her to slip and fall.
Involuntary manslaughter, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I think.
I don't think they could get him for murder.
Reduce sentence on that for sure.
Led to a person's death. You know, blood's on his hands.
You know, it's fine for things to not come back and just let it be. But why hasn't there been any more PaRappa the Rapper?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he last appeared, you know, in our favorite PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale.
I remember that.
And then I guess you can get some fun Astrobot unlockables. So technically you can see him there. I would absolutely love more PaRappa. I'm not against like overdoing and overusing like a genre, like, or not a genre, but like a property. Like I'm like, let the fans decide when they're going to stop and call a day and be done with it. But for the fans who definitely want to continue on and get more, like let it be there for them if it's selling well enough to justify it, you know? I would absolutely do that. Like, I mean, you know, there's people who Lost is one of my favorite TV shows ever, and people are like, oh no, after season 2, that thing went downhill. And like, yeah, it kind of did, but like, I'm glad it stuck it through and had an ending, whether you liked it or not. Like, give me a lot. Give me more. Give me as much as you can. If you know Sony hires me, you better believe in one of the first meetings we're going to start talking about some of this old IP they're sitting on for generations that definitely could use follow-ups. And we will get you hired, I think.
That is one of those things I wonder about a lot. I'm sure they've had conversations internally about like this is an obviously beloved character. Maybe we ought to do something. I mean, who knows? Maybe one day we'll hear about like some internal projects where they were like gonna do a new game and it fell through the cracks for whatever reason, because it's he's, I'll put it this way, right? I think PaRappa is one of those characters that's like disproportionately iconic relative to like the amount of content that they've actually produced with him.
Yeah.
And given in this industry when there's 38 games of everything that hits, it's a little bizarre that PaRappa is like so well known and so beloved, and they just went like, you know, we'll just put it in. have a little PaRappa bot in Astrobot, which was wonderful, but you know, maybe one day.
I remember, and this is again from it was a very limited point of view, but when that PlayStation Battle Royale All-Stars came out, I remember I think I played a demo somewhere, and I remember thinking like, this doesn't have any of the characters that I played at my cousin's house when I was a kid. And you know, I didn't have a PS3 and I didn't really know much about Nathan Drake or whatever. So, but I do remember thinking like, well, at least they got PaRappa the Rapper, who I guess I had never even played a game of. So I don't know why like that stood out to me. But yeah, he stood out as like one of the most iconic like characters in that game itself. So that is a good point. Like he is so popular, even though like there's only like really like just like under 24 hours of content.
Oh yeah,
of a game. Yeah, he's got that it factor. He's got that riz.
He really does.
So.
Absolutely, for sure. I know it's an older game at this point, so if you're if you're listening to this and this stuff was not contemporary for you, you know, I feel more and more like an old man when I'm like, if you kids don't remember the PlayStation. But it's one that's well worth having a look at, especially when you think about how that genre has evolved in the years since. Yeah, one of my absolute faves in terms of personality and vibe. Hey, it's not going to cost you that much, and it's not going to take you that long to get through it. Although the delay on the modern version will make it a little bit more difficult, but it's still well worth your time, I think.
Do you find yourself playing older games and wishing that there were new discussions about those games? Enter Tales from the Backlog. Hi, I'm Dave Jackson, and on each episode, I'm joined by a guest to break down those games that may be stuck in your ever-expanding backlog. Each episode looks at one game in depth, focusing on mechanics, story, music, and other aspects with no spoilers until a clearly marked spoiler wall in the middle. If you've played the game, go ahead and climb that spoiler wall and enjoy in-depth story discussions, and if not, jump out when we warn you and maybe go play that game for yourself. We have over 100 episodes in the feed, everything from Disco Elysium to Tunic to discussion episodes about how to get into horror games, and if games actually need to be fun, or if they have more to offer. I guarantee that there's something in there for everybody. Once again, that's Tales from the Backlog, available wherever your podcasts are found.
Ribbit, ribbit, I cannot hold it. The last little toilet, already sold it. Ribbit, ribbit.
Yeah, I mean, at least we'll have left this. One more person knows about PaRappa the Rapper. And when we were streaming it, some of our friends were watching, and they were like, a couple of them were like, "What the hell is this? This is crazy." Yeah. So, it was fun to sort of spread that to other people, and hopefully more. Part of the goal of this show is to get Nintendo 64 fans to think about PlayStation games sometimes. So hopefully we've done that.
Superior console. Hashtag got him. I'm not gonna say really. It's probably true, but I would also encourage people to check out the art of Rodney Allen Greenblatt. I looked up stuff. He has cool artwork, but as well as animation. I was even watching on YouTube, people have just put up old advertisements that he's done for various products and stuff. And they're very, even the ones that aren't exactly of the same style, you can feel like that it's the same person behind it. And, I don't think we ever said, Matsura's band name, but I believe it's called Psy S, if I'm not mistaken. And I have listened to their first three albums maybe, and they're all pretty sick. They're really cool. And then I also listened to after doing that, I looked up their actual biggest single, and it was nothing like any of the albums I listened to. And I was like, oh, so but they've got a dozen albums or so to go through. So I'm gonna continue doing that because I quite enjoyed it. So I got a lot out of this episode beyond just becoming more acquainted with PaRappa. So yeah, thanks Darren for sending me a list of games you're into and that being on there. We promoted the retro game zine that you did or that you're working on, but is there anything else you wanted to promote?
I mean, the Beat 'em Up book just came out that has had a storied history. But no, I mean, just check out my my Blue Sky, darrenhupke.bsky.social or pixelsandpolygons.net, the SoundStone.network shows. Yeah, I mean, all my stuff's on there. I talk about all my stuff pretty regularly, and you can see it all on my website there. But yeah, then I never promote it very much, but the Patreon, I do a $5 tier that, just helps fund the website costs and stuff for the various things that I'm doing. But you get a postcard, a single retro review postcard once a month. It's a fun little thing that I've been doing. And then occasionally I'll post some original writing and everything on there as well, but that's all free. So you can follow the Patreon and get all the benefits for that for free. But if you do the little paid tier, you get the podcast a week early and a postcard mailed to you once a month. But yeah, that's everything I could promote about myself.
I just got the Twisted Metal postcard. Very cool.
Oh, yeah.
The retro game zines also are awesome, and an added benefit is you always get the little stickers in with them with your characters done as the different. I've got the Jammer Lammy one, but those are brittling my CRT TV now. Like it's covered in them that I mostly use to play Nintendo 64 games on.
Nice.
But yeah, they're awesome. I love that artwork and everything. So
an upcoming issue for next year will be Winback, which is a Nintendo 64 game. So you'll hopefully have a Nintendo 64 game to do. And then another upcoming issue may or may not feature somebody who's currently recording on this podcast as well, too. I was actually working on my part for that as well today.
Oh, okay.
Sweet. Yeah, that's gonna be good. You're getting some thoughts brewing. I'm not gonna say who's contributing, but
McKenna's contributing to Harvest Moon issue of Retro Game Scene that will be out in November,
which would be cool. This is another first time play for you. So
yeah.
Fredo, thank you so much for coming on. Would you like to promote anything?
Yeah, of course. This was a blast. Just follow me on Blue Sky if you find any of this interesting. I'm at fredo.vsky.app. I keep trying. I've got this Fredo's Gamos thing I do sometimes, which has basically been annoyingly long form skeet storms, I guess I would call them. I briefly had a whatever that platform was that ended up going like mask off fascist like 3 days after I started a thing on there, so I got rid of that, and at some point I'll probably move my stuff to Beehive or something, but yeah, follow me on Blue Sky, and I'm always talking about games on there. I'm always happy to chat games with people, and I'm sure at some point I'll be writing something, or I'll have other appearances on podcasts and stuff, because I love this kind of stuff. So thank you so much for having me on. It's been a real blast, and shout out to the whole audience. Search your feelings. You know it to be true that the PlayStation is a superior console. No, I'm just kidding. We love them both.
Well, I think Darren could probably tell you this is actually probably some of the least inflammatory stuff that's been said to upset our audience compared to some other episodes and some other friends of ours that have been on. So you're in the clear, I'm sure. Yeah, thank you. It was great to have you. You told me some games you're into, and maybe we can also collaborate on some other games. Doesn't even have to be those, but it's good to know. Sure.
I'd love to come back. So yeah, just let me know.
Yeah, you can check out our stuff at flashback64.com, and the other SoundStone Network shows you can find at SoundStone.network. You can listen to Darren's show. We've been on a bunch, Pixels and Polygons. It's a great show. We love it. And you can also listen to Kirby Conversations, which is a great podcast about Kirby and HAL Laboratory. And there's probably more stuff coming down the road. Who knows? We'll see. McKenna, great job.
Good job, Goo.
We'll see everybody next time. Bye.
Bye forever.
This is life.
The ZeldaCast is getting even bigger. Join us on patreon.com/SPNet for access to the ZeldaCast XL, the new bonus show featuring podcasting's dynamic duo, Andy Spiteri and Gooey Fame.
We're taking a new approach to do our bonus shows and giving you more of what you love, letting you get more involved in the show itself. Each month, we'll have some fun and play a few games, answer some Patreon questions, and discuss some Zelda topics on a more personal level.
Consider joining for only $4 a month, and you can ask us questions about Zelda or anything else on your mind. Let us know what topics and segments you want us to discuss, and be a part of an amazing community of Zelda fans hosted by two best friends.
The ZeldaCast XL is taking everything you love about the show and ramping it up even more. So come and hang out with us, only on patreon.com/spnet.